God bless you, loved ones. Welcome to the Word with Chester. Today we'll begin studying the 21st chapter of the book of Exodus. Let me apologize to all of our regular listeners. I want you to forgive me. I wasn't able to broadcast the last few days or bring you a new broadcast. I've had a cold. The weather got very cold here, and because of that, I developed a cough. And I couldn't say a complete paragraph without having to stop and cough. And I didn't want to deliver that type of message to you. You're such a great people. I want to do my very best to bring you a good session. I don't claim to be the best preacher, and that's not my job to be the best. My job is to do what God has called me to do, and I want to do my very best to deliver a good session to you each time. I want to thank God for all of our listeners. You are such a blessing to me, especially when I find out or you let me know in one way or the other that you are watching this ministry. It's a blessing to me. I get many thumbs up across the United States of America and other places, and I want you to know that means a lot to me. I heard for the first time this week that someone is following our complete ministry. For those of you who don't know, this is the Word with Chester Ministry, but it's part of the CL Figures Enterprises. I'm an author. You can see my book here, and I'm also a songwriter and singer on a professional level, and God is blessing this ministry. So I have 3 different dimensions of me, and this one person all the way from Sweden is watching our work, and I want you to know that I appreciate you from there. Also from India, for the first time we've heard from persons that reside in India that are watching this ministry. I want you to know I appreciate you so very much, and we welcome you to our extended family, and that's exactly the way I view you, as my extended family, and I love you with the love of the Lord. Shall we go into our session today? We're going to begin reading at verse 1. But we won't get through the complete chapter today. I'm going to not tax my throat because I don't want to start coughing again. If by chance I do have to pause and cough, please understand. I've just come over a bad cold, and I'm doing my very best to deliver. I didn't want to go another day without presenting a lesson to you. Let's read in verse 21. Now these are the ordinances which thou shalt set before them. God is instructing Moses how to instruct the people. Now remember, in our last lesson in chapter 20, we heard for the first time in our reading of the Old Testament the 10 Commandments, and God in his majesticness letting the people know these were the words of God. Now you got to understand, God said that thou shalt not do this and thou shalt not do that. In chapter 20, he was letting us know what we as individuals should not do. And I told you in that lesson that he told us these things not to do to keep anarchy from spreading through the land. He wanted us to be a peaceable people and get along with one another. Every commandment was for a reason, including remember the Sabbath, to keep it holy, all the way down to the very first. Hear, O Israel, thou shalt have no other God before me, and so forth. All of these are important things that we should remember. The 10 Commandments. But here we go into ordinances where God has given Moses what to instruct the people. Now you get the picture now. In chapter 20, God was speaking himself. God had the podium himself and had the ear of the people, and he gave the commandments. You got to get that picture now. Let's continue reading. Now in verse 21, now these are the ordinances which thou shalt set before them. Now he's instructing Moses what to do and what to set before the children of Israel. In verse 2, if thou buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years shall he serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. He's giving them instruction how to treat people, how to treat other people. You got to understand, why would a Hebrew become a slave? Well, sometimes in business, you know yourself, everything don't go perfectly. I'm going to have to calm down. I feel myself coughing again. But I'm going to complete this session. everything does not go perfectly in life. Sometimes people bankrupt and things of that nature, and after bankruptcy, they have to sell themselves to creditors. We do it in the day that we live, but we just call it something different. We bankrupt, we file bankruptcy, the government helps us get out of trouble and so forth. But in days of old, they didn't have a system like we have in the United States. If you bankrupted, in order for you to survive, you had to do whatever it took to live. And many times that would be selling your goods, your entire estate, whatever you have, to another person of your own race. And this is what happened, what would happen, and God is instructing Moses how to treat them. If thou buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve thee. In the seventh he shall go out free for nothing. In verse 3, if he come in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he was married, then his wife shall go out with him. Get that picture. Moses giving instruction. Now, if he come in by himself, he has to go out by himself. After the 7 years had expired, but if he come in with a wife, him and his wife would be able to leave. Verse 3 again, and it came, and if he come in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he was married, then his wife shall go out with him. In verse 4, if his master have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her masters, and he shall go out by himself. Well, to get that picture now, if the master give him a woman, give him a wife, and they have children, when he leaves, he have to leave that woman and those children there with the master. Now, this is an ordinance that God has given Moses to give to the people. Now, let's read on. I know that sounds harsh. You mean you got to leave your wife? But we're going to read on. Let's get more intelligence in verse 5 of chapter 21. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, my children, and I will not go out free. If he plainly say, not no him hawing around. Now, this is what we get in the day that we live. Folks sending out subliminal messages and all that kind of stuff. If he plainly say, you got to get that picture. If he plainly say, no questions about it. He says it, and it makes it plain to where you understand it, everybody else around you understand it. Then let me read it again, verse 5. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. And then his master shall bring him into the judges. Well, it had to be an act, something had to be done to confirm this. It wasn't just a verbal talk that these men have. Verse 6, then his master shall bring him to the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. Now get this picture. He would pierce his ear if he chose not to go out. He wanted to stay there because he loved his master, he loved his wife, he loved his children. He chose not to leave after the 7 years. You got to understand, he can be free, but if he chooses not to, then you got some type of mark had to be put on him. So that mark was to pierce his ear. Now let's read it, verse 6 again. And his master shall bring him into the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. His ear is pierced, and he's got a ring, a mark on there that he's a slave. We talked about this when the men first start wearing earrings. You understand? We could justify the women wearing earrings because she belonged to her husband. But when men started wearing earrings, we use this verse on many occasions that you're showing the mark of a slave. When you choose to wear this earring as a man, you're saying that I choose to be a slave. I won't leave my wife, I won't leave my children, won't leave my master, I want to stay here. Let's read in verse 7. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as a maidservant do. Verse 8, if she please not her master, who hath betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. Redeemed means repurchased. To sell her to a foreign nation, he shall have no power, seeing he hath dealt deceitfully with her. Get that picture now. If this agreement was made and he didn't like the woman, she didn't please him, and he wanted to put her away. Get that picture now. Well, verse 8 reads, if she please not her master, who has betrothed her to him, then shall he let her be redeemed. To sell her unto a foreign nation, he shall have no power, seeing he hath dealt deceitfully with her. He has no power then, because he dealt deceitfully with the woman. Let's read verse 9. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of a daughter. You will treat her like a daughter. In verse 10, if he takes him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall not be diminished. Now get this picture. If he marries someone else, then he still has an obligation to take care of this woman and do benevolence, do whatever it takes as a husband to please this woman, even if he marries somebody else. That means if he has more than one wife, he got to treat them all good, not just one. Let's read verse 10. If he takes him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. He won't take from it all, of what is hers at all. In verse 11, and if he do not these three unto her, then shall she go out free without money. If he does not treat her right. Now, he marries somebody else now. He's not supposed to diminish what is hers. She's supposed to get everything she was getting at first and do benevolence rendered to her. If he choose, let's read 11. If he do not these three unto her, then shall she go out free without money. If he does not do what he's supposed to do with her, she is free. She can go out, but she'll go out without money. I feel myself about to cough, so I'm going to conclude this lesson for today. But we're going to take up right there in our next lesson. I want you to be here. I'll tell you all the time that sometimes some of the lessons are more exciting than others because there's a great build-up, and then when we get to the climax of that build-up, it's very, very exciting. But then we have a lull, and we have to build again to another very exciting place. Well, let me let you know if you missed that low, where it's low, you miss what it took to get up to the great part. So you need to hear and read the entire Bible. My friends, those of you that don't know, that's what we're doing. We're teaching through the Bible, verse by verse, and chapter by chapter. I want you to know that I love you, my friends. I love you with the love of the Lord. If you would like to contact me for any reason, you can write me at the Word with Chester Ministries, Post Office Box 200-483, San Antonio, Texas, 78220. You can also reach me at my website, www.poemsbychester.com. Remember our CD? You can buy it at iTunes, TuneCore, Amazon.com. You can buy it digitally, one song at a time. You can buy the complete album if you desire. I'll also release the new song that is there as well. Please go by and just listen to them. They do have samples on iTunes. Go by and just listen to a sample. If you like it, please purchase it. You'll be a blessing to this ministry, and these songs will be a blessing to you. Remember, I love you, my friends. I love you with the love of the Lord. God bless you.